Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and remember, context is everything. Context is Everything Media Network. John Michael, founder and CEO, reading a textbook cover to cover to establish my historical context at the beginning of the Context is Everything journey. In the spirit of establishing context, let's read the review from Friday of the section that was then. Chapter 10.2 was then. Chapter 10.3 is now. Let's look at Chapter 10.2. Russia was thought by its regional residents to be heir to the Roman dynasty, known as the Third Rome. Russia was separated into three regions: northern forests, the southern fertile lands, and the southern steppe, or treeless grassland, which served as travel routes for migrants from Asia into Europe. Russia's main rivers were the Dnieper and Volga, Dnieper and Volga. Kyiv was site to excellent farming land and was central to Viking and Byzantine trade networks. That Viking influence really became visible and audible because Viking names kind of slightly twisted and converted into Russian names. So Viking names like Helga and Waldemir turn Russian are Olga and Vladimir. Olga, Vladimir, from Helga, Waldemir. In 863, two Greek monks, Cyril and Methodius, adapted the Greek alphabet so they could translate the Bible into Slavic language. This Cyrillic alphabet became the written script in Russia and Ukraine, still used to this day. In 957, Prince Olga of Kyiv converted to Byzantine Christianity, which would later evolve into Russian Orthodox Church. Olga's grandson, Vladimir, married the sister of a Byzantine emperor and had Greek priests arrive to Kyiv to preside over a mass baptism of the people. This meaning the royalty is now Christian. That means all the people are going to be baptized. And they just did that in a mass, like city center baptism kind of a thing. Next portion, Mongol conquests in the early 1200s united nomadic peoples to create the Golden Horde. Led by Genghis Khan, which translates to World Emperor, and later to his son Batu, the Golden Horde looted and burned Kyiv and many Russian towns. The Golden Horde ruled Russia for the next 240 years. Did you know that? The Mongols ruled Russia. I didn't know that, but now I do. Mongols demanded regular payments of heavy tribute from Russian princes in this 240-year span. Mongols converted to Islam, but tolerated the Russian Orthodox Church, which continued to grow more powerful. As Mongol power subsided, Moscow grew in power. Mongol power subsided, Moscow grew in power. Not only as the capital of the Russian Orthodox Church, but it became a Russian political center. In 1380, Russians defeated the Golden Horde at the Battle of Kulikovo, which started Russia's road to independence. So 1200s is when the Golden Horde was roving, and 1380 is when the Russians defeat the Golden Horde at Kulikovo. Ivan the Great, or Ivan III, brought much of northern Russia under his rule between 1462 and 1505. He tried to limit the powers of the boyars, who are the great landowning nobles. He also adopted the name Tsar for his throne and for his subsequent successors. This word is the Russian translation for Caesar. Tsar, Russian for Caesar. Third Rome, right? Russia, they believe to be the third Rome. You have Rome, then you have the Holy Roman Empire, now you have Russia. Ivan the Terrible, or Ivan the Fourth, was a grandson of Ivan the Great. He introduced laws to make fief society from earlier Europe function by tying Russian serfs to the land. I don't think they mean literally cinching them up, but legally binding them to their land. Like basically what it was in medieval Europe, before like money came into the equation, because money created a middle class, which kind of started the degradation of the fief society. The what do you call that? The leave in the comments below what you call fief society. Leave in the comments below, please. Episode 53. Okay. In about 1569, Ivan killed his own son in a moment of madness. Yikes. He created the oprichniki, or agents of terror who enforced the Tsar's will. He created oprichniki, or agents of terror who enforced... Okay. They would dress in black robes and ride black horses. When Ivan the Terrible died in 1584, he left his people ready to rebel due to his tyranny. So they were ready for an uprising. 1584. So there was some uprising, there was some turmoil. In 1604 to 1613, shortly after King Ivan's death, Ivan the Terrible, were the times of troubles. 1604 to 1613, times of troubles. The Zemski Sobor was an assembly of clergy, nobles, and townsmen who chose a new czar and ended these troubles. They chose 17-year-old Michael Romanov, and his family ruled until 1917. A little bit of context for you. 1917, from 1613 to 1917, longer than the United States has existed. A little bit of context for just the way the clock works. Okay, that's that section. This is this section. So now we're going to start Chapter 10, Section 3. And if you're still listening, maybe you want to move up to a faster speed. Maybe you want to put it to 0.125, because I'm going to take my time and try to read this well. Cheers. Setting the scene. Many times in the past 100 years, people have opened their newspapers to find news about turbulent events in Eastern Europe. In 1914, a political assassination by Serbian nationalists triggered World War I. In 1938 and 1939, German aggression in Czechoslovakia and Poland sparked World War II. In 1989, revolts in Eastern European nations helped topple the Soviet Empire. In the 1990s, war again erupted in the Balkans as rival national groups clashed in Bosnia and Kosovo. The roots of such conflicts lie deep in the history of Eastern Europe. As you will see, it has been a history often marked by war, revolution, and foreign conquest. At the same time, its diverse mix of people has enriched the culture of the region. The geography of Eastern Europe. First heading, the geography of Eastern Europe. The region known as Eastern Europe is a wide swath of territory lying between German-speaking Central Europe to the west and the largest Slavic nation, Russia, to the east. Many people and many nations have flourished in the area over the centuries. Eastern Europe reaches from the chilly waters of the Balkan Sea down across the plains of Poland, then through the mountainous Balkans. The Balkan Peninsula, a roughly triangular arm of land, juts southward into the warm Mediterranean. Several geographic features contributed to the developments in Eastern Europe. Much of the region lies on the great European plain that links up with the steppes of southern Russia. Steppes meaning flat grassland. Flat grassland steppes of southern Russia. The main rivers of Eastern Europe, like the Danube and the Vistula, flow either south into the Black Sea or north into the Baltic Sea. Goods and cultural influences traveled along these river routes. As the result, the Balkans in the south felt the impact of the Byzantine Empire and later the Muslim Ottoman Empire. In contrast, the northern regions bordering Germany and the Baltic Sea forged closer links to Western Europe. A new heading: diverse mix of people. Eastern Europe's geography has made it cultural crossroads. The ease of migration encouraged many different peoples to seek new homes as well as increase power in the region. As a result, Eastern Europe now includes a wealth of languages and cultures. Subheading under diverse mix of people. The Balkans. In the early Middle Ages, the Slavs spread out from central heartland in Russia. The West Slavs filtered into present-day Poland and the Czech and Slovak republics. The South Slavs descended into the Balkans and became the ancestors of the Serbs, Croats, and Slovenians. Slavens. The Balkans were peopled by other ethnic groups as well. An ethnic group is a large group of people who share the same language and cultural heritage. Waves of Asian people migrated into Eastern Europe, among them the Huns, the Avars, Bulgars, Khazars, and Magyars. Vikings and Germanic people added to the mix. Powerful neighboring states exercised strong cultural influences on Eastern Europe. Byzantine missionaries carried Eastern Orthodox Christianity and Byzantine culture throughout the Balkans. German knights and missionaries from the West spread Roman Catholic Christianity to Poland, Hungary, and Czech area, and the Western Balkans. German knights and missionaries from the West spread Roman Catholic Christianity to Poland, Hungary, and the Czech area, and the Balkans, Western Balkans. In the 1300s, the Ottomans invaded the Balkans, spreading Islam into the pockets of that area. The Ottomans took Constantinople, if we recall, and named it Istanbul, which it is today. So I think the Ottomans are the Turkish, right? Jewish settlements, subheading under a diversity of people, diverse mix of people. Jewish settlements. In the late Middle Ages, Eastern Europe was a refuge for many Jewish settlers. Western European Christians launched brutal attacks on Jewish communities, particularly during the Crusades and the Black Death. To escape persecution, many Jews fled east. Monarchs in England, France, and Spain also expelled Jews from their lands. In the 1300s, Polish kings followed a policy of toleration towards Jews. As a result, Jewish villages sprang up in Poland and other sparsely populated areas in Eastern Europe. Jewish merchants and scholars contributed to the economic and cultural development of Poland during this period. Early kingdoms. New heading. Early kingdoms. During the Middle Ages, Eastern Europe included many kingdoms and small states. Sometimes empires absorbed national groups. Alliances or royal marriages might bind others together for a time. To get a sense of these shifting fortunes, we will look at the kingdoms of Poland, Hungary, and Serbia. Poland. Missionaries brought Roman Catholicism to the West Slavs of Poland in the 900s. A century later, the first Polish king was crowned. To survive, Poland often had to battle Germans, Russians, and Mongols. Poland's greatest age came after Queen Jadwiga. Queen Jadwiga. After Queen Jadwiga married Duke Vladislav. I should have read that. I shouldn't have looked at the mnemonic. Poland's greatest age came after Queen Jadwiga married Duke Vladislav Jagiellon of Lithuania in 1386. Lithuania controlled the largest state in Europe, stretching from the Baltic to the Black Sea. Jadwiga supported the University of Krakow, which became a major center of science and the arts. So, the marriage between Queen Jadwiga and Vladislav Jagiellon created a Poland-Lithuania alliance that was the largest land in Europe. I think that's what it said. Unlike Russia, Western Europe, Poland gradually increased the power of its nobles at the expense of the monarch. They met in a diet or assembly where the vote of a single noble was enough to block the passage of a law. So a diet is an assembly where a vote from a single noble was enough to block the passage of a law. Diet spelled D-I-E-T. Without a strong central government, Poland declined. It enjoyed a final moment of glory in 1683 when the Polish king Jan Sobieski broke the Ottoman siege of Vienna. In the next century, however, Poland was gobbled up by ambitious neighbors and disappeared from the map entirely. So, let's see. The height in 1386, gone shortly after 1683. They don't give me an exact gone date, whatever. Hungary, subheading under Early Kingdoms. Early Kingdoms, we did Poland, now Hungary. The Magyars raided Europe from Asia, the Asian steppes, and settled in Hungary. So, the Asian steppes meaning the southern steppes of Russia, right? The flat grasslands which were easy to travel back and forth from Asia to Europe on those steppes. So the southern steppes. The Magyars raided Europe from Asian steppes and settled in Hungary. Like the Western Slavs of Poland, they adopted Roman Christianity. During the Middle Ages, the country was much larger than it is today. Hungarian rulers controlled present-day Slovakia, Croatia, and parts of Romania. Like King John of England, the Hungarian king was forced to sign a charter recognizing the rights of his nobles. King John had to sign the Magna Carta, which allowed for due process of law, mandated due process of law for all nobles and later on for all citizens, rather than just getting thrown in jail because the king doesn't like you, and the king has to follow the rules as well. That's the Magna Carta from 1215. Like King John of England, the Hungarian king was forced to sign a charter recognizing the rights of his nobles. Known as the Golden Bull of 1222, it strictly limited royal power. Golden Bull, similar to the Magna Carta. Interesting. The Mongols overran Hungary in 1241, killing perhaps as much as half of its population. They soon withdrew, so their invasion did not have the same effect as it did on Russia. The expansion of the Ottoman Turks, though, ended the Hungarian independence in 1526. The expansion of Ottoman Turks, though, ended Hungarian independence in 1526. Okay. Serbia. The last of those kingdoms, early kingdoms. During the 600s, South Slavs settled in mountainous Balkans. Serbians, Croats, Slovenians, and other Slavic peoples in the Balkans had different histories during the Middle Ages. The Serbs accepted Orthodox Christianity. By the late 1100s, they had set up their own state, which reached its heights under Stefan Dusan. Stefan also encouraged Byzantine culture, even modeling his law code on that of Justinian. Dusan's successors lacked the political gifts, however. Dusan's successors lacked his political gifts, however, and Serbia could not withstand the advance of Ottoman Turks. At the Battle of Kosovo in 1389, Serbs fought to the death, a memory still honored by their descendants more than 600 years later. And the final section of this chapter, the final heading of this section, I gotta get that straight. Looking ahead. Migration, conquest, dynastic marriages, and missionary activity helped produce a tangle of overlapping claims to territories in Eastern Europe. During the 1600s and 1700s, large empires to the east and west swallowed up much of the region. Yet, whenever they had a chance, the peoples of Eastern Europe tried to recover their independence. In later chapters, we will see how the desire to rebuild separates states repeatedly. In later chapters, we will see how the desire to rebuild separate states repeatedly ignited new turmoils. That's what's happening currently, I think. Right? We will see how desires to rebuild separate states repeatedly ignited new turmoils. That's what's happening in Russia, Ukraine right now, right? I think so. As always, context is everything. I hope you have a good day. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.